I am not teaching, I am publicly learning. But hi and welcome to Learning for the Live in the UK test part 234, Theatre. That is on the page 81. While doing leg stretching, and if you participate in the leg stretching, that is at your own risk. And also, if you're doing the exercises along, you can follow along at your own time. Theatre. Let's start with the leg stretching first. So we're starting with the butterfly stretch. The soles of the feet are together, and we're sitting tall up, and we're leaning a bit in front. There are theatres in most towns and cities throughout the UK, ranging from the large to the small. So there are theatres in many towns and cities all over the UK, and they are sometimes very large or a bit smaller. We had one theatre, that was the Globe Theatre, I think it was. I wanted to go back because I can't distinguish it from the word. It is the Globe Theatre in London, and it should look as if it were built in the 17th century during Shakespeare's times. So there are theatres all over the UK. So people can go into theatres. They can go rowing, they can go to theatres, they can make football matches at the weekends, they can go to music festivals, so there's a lot to do. So they can go into theatres. There are large ones and smaller ones. They are an important part of local communities and often show both professional and amateur productions. So these theatres are important for the local communities because many people go, 100 people or more can go, the larger and smaller ones, and often show both professional and amateur productions. So there are professional people who basically have it as their job. Yes, but that's what it means. No, not oftentimes. Sometimes they need to have a second job. But people who do that professionally and working a lot on these things, and their amateur productions. These amateurs are working also a lot on these productions. So that means someone can do professional theatre presentations or performances, and also amateurs can make them. We're going to the next exercise. We are having the legs long out. We are having the foot flexed, and we're leaning at front, and have the toes together. We're leaning at front. Doesn't really matter. Yeah, it does. Have a straight back. London's West End, also known as Theatreland, is particularly well known. You can also stretch like that and take the toes. London's West End, also known as Theatreland, is particularly well known. I never heard Theatreland. So there's London's West End, also known as Theatreland, or is London West End the region and not the theatre? London's West End, also known as Theatreland, is particularly well known for theatres, I guess. The Mousetrap, a murder mystery play by Dame Agatha Christie. I don't know how it's completely pronounced. I think it's Dame Agatha Christie. Has been running in the West End since 1952 and has had the longest initial run of any show in history. So, either the theatre's name is London West End or in London West End. So London West End, also known as Theatreland, is particularly well known. And there is the play, or the theatre play, The Mousetrap. That is a murder mystery. So that's crime and people trying to find out who had done that murder. And it's written by Dame Agatha Christie. And that started to run there in the West End in 1952. And that is the longest initial run of any show in history. I don't completely know what they mean with initial run, but I think it means that it's running since 70 years, since 1952, and that it started and never stopped. So the next exercise, the car racer into 1990 position with the legs. We're going with the hands to the knee, which is behind of us, and we're leaning with the shoulder to the knee, which is in front of us. There is also a strong tradition of musical theatre in the UK. In the 19th century, Gilbert and Sullivan wrote comic operas, often making fun of popular culture and politics. These operas include HMS Pinafore, The Pirates of Penzance, and The Mikado. Gilbert and Sullivan's work is still often staged by professional and amateur groups. Okay, so there's a strong tradition of musical theatres in the UK. So since a very long time in the United Kingdom, there are musical theatres. And in the 19th century, so 1800 something, Gilbert and Sullivan, is what they do. I don't know the name, but Gilbert and Sullivan, let's say we are duo. And they wrote comic operas. So these are operas, but they are making fun of popular culture and politics. Many operas are dramas. These operas include the titles HMS Pinafore, The Pirates of Penzance, and The Mikado. And we're going to the other side. And to 99 position of the legs, with your hands to the knees behind of us, and leaning in front of the shoulder to the knee just in front of us. So HMS Pinafore, The Pirates of Penzance, and The Mikado. These are the titles of operas, comic operas written by Gilbert and Sullivan. Gilbert and Sullivan's work is still often staged by professional and amateur groups. So the people who are performing these operas, professional people and amateur groups. More recently, Baron Andrew Lloyd Webber has written music for shows which have been popular throughout the world, including in collaboration with Sir Tim Rice, Jesus Christ Superstar, and Evita, and also Cats and The Phantom of the Opera. So there's another person, Baron Andrew Lloyd Webber, and he has written music for shows which are basically musical operas. So for shows, but they're a bit more shows. And they are popular throughout the world. All over the world they are popular. And some are in collaboration with Sir Tim Rice. And works are, for example, Jesus Christ Superstar, Evita, and Cats or The Phantom of the Opera. One British tradition is the pantomime. Many theatres produce a pantomime at Christmas time. They are based on fairy stories and a light-hearted plays with music and comedy enjoyed by family audiences. And we're going just the 1990 stretch, just 1990 with the legs, and we're leaning just in front. To the leg which is in front of us. They are based on fairy stories and a light-hearted plays with music and comedy enjoyed by family audiences. One of the traditional characters is the dame, a woman played by a man. There is often also a pantomime horse or cow played by two actors in the same costume. So there is a British tradition, and that is pantomime or something, but I don't know how to pronounce it. And many theaters are producing such a pantomime at Christmas. And they are based on fairy stories, so little short stories which have a little fantasy element, and are light-hearted plays with music and comedy, and they are intended to be enjoyed by family audiences. No, we can't say it clearly. One of these characters which often appear is a dame who is played by a man, and there's oftentimes something like a horse or cow portrayed, and when one person plays the legs and the other person the head and the front legs. And then someone in the same costume. And now to the next exercise, the pigeon pose. Do it only if you know how to do it. And all these exercises, do them all at your own duration and all at your own risk. That's because there are many different people which technically could do this, and everyone does not have different legs, but also different types of blood flows and blood vessels and so on. So these can all be problematic. Everyone has to know it for themselves if they have any vascular things or something. The Edinburgh Festival takes place in Edinburgh, Scotland, every summer. So in Edinburgh, there are things happening. For example, the Edinburgh Festival, that is in the summer. It is a series of different arts and cultural festivals, with the biggest and most well-known being the Edinburgh Festival Fringe, called the Fringe. The Fringe is a showcase of mainly theatre and comedy performances. It often shows experimental work. Okay, let's try to read it again. The Edinburgh Festival takes place in Edinburgh. So in Edinburgh, there's a festival in the summer that its name is Edinburgh Festival. And these are a series of different arts and cultural festivals. So during the Edinburgh Festivals, which seems to take multiple days, there are different arts and cultural festivals happening. And the most famous one is the Fringe. And the Fringe is a showcase of mainly theater and comedy performances. So in the Fringe, there is something like theater and comedy performed, and also experimental work. So not things where the people say, we're pretty sure the people are gonna find it funny if two people are in a costume and playing a horse, but also experimental work, which sometimes should not be funny, and the audience should have another reaction. So the Laurence Olivier Awards take place annually at different venues in London. We're going to the other leg. First into the 90-90 stretch, just with the legs 90 at 90 degrees, and we're leaning in front. The Laurence Olivier Awards take place annually at different venues in London. So we're knowing of the Brits Awards, they make best pop band group or best pop artist, and we're knowing of the Mercury Award that makes best album of the UK. Now we're having the Laurence Olivier Award, and that is annually given at different places in London. There are a variety of categories, as oftentimes, including Best Director, Best Actor, and Best Actress. The awards, okay, first here, so there's a variety of categories. So not just one person can win in one category, but another person can win in another category, or the same person can win in two categories. So for different disciplines, basically. And for example, Best Director, who made the best direction of a play, or who is the best male or the best female actress. The awards are named after the British actor Sir Laurence Olivier, later Lord Olivier, who was best known for his roles in various Shakespeare plays. So there is an actor, and his name is Sir Laurence Olivier, or Lord Olivier, and he's most well known for playing in various Shakespeare plays. We know in some Shakespeare plays. This is all. So we're through with music. Next thing will be art. So if you're here for art and you don't want to do the other leg now with a pigeon pose, you can go to the next part and you're going to do or speak about art. We are knowing some plays of Shakespeare. These are A Midsummer Night's Dream, Hamlet. Not to be, but this is his name. They had name 4, not Henry VIII. To be no, but this is a quote. A Midsummer Night's Dream, Romeo and Juliet, Hamlet, and we named one out of which we have no quote. Then let's say Macbeth. It was Macbeth. And we're knowing 5 more. That was Henry VIII, Romeo and Juliet. Okay, so not 18. And as you like, something like that. Now we're through with music. The next thing will be art. And when we're having notable British artists, and you maybe ask questions about these artists and their work, make sure you know about trends. Do we get it in art? Make sure you know about trends in British art as well. Maybe that comes in the next part. Because knowing about trends, if you know about the trends of the stock market, such as the development of landscape painting. That will come in the next part. We will talk about paintings. So we basically have nothing to do. But we can go back. So the horse races. Let's actually try to learn them. The Royal Ascot and Berkshire. Royal Ascot, Berkshire. Royal Ascot, Berkshire. And when we're having the Grand National at Aintree. Grand National at Aintree. Royal Ascot, Berkshire. Let's stay with one. We're going to the last exercise. It's the one we did at the beginning. We're having just the soles of the feet together. We're sitting tall up and we're stretching a bit in front. So the next part will be art, and you can keep it search a little longer. But I thank you very much, and until next time.